Y'all get ready for y'all protection spells. Y'all got to put yourselves in some protection spells. Y'all need it the most anytime the moon about to start waning. So once the moon wax and fully fulfill up, it's going to start waning. And that's going to be the time you need to start doing like heavy protection spells, because like, whatever you're trying to accumulate or whatever you're doing can get just washed up under the current by anything, a person, place, or thing. You know what I'm saying? And then just get so washed up under the current to the point that you ain't protected enough. And then for the most part, now you withdrawn and you feel like you have to do more than what you was going to have to do in order to motherfucking, to protect. And then now when you feel like you have to do more than what you had to do, that's you actually participating in fulfilling energy again. And once you in fulfilling energy again, you know what I'm saying, you're doing it at the wrong time, because this is the time you're supposed to be protecting what you have accumulated, not motherfuckers sitting there still trying to accumulate to some form of degree. You know what I'm saying? So it's like protecting your bag, protecting your energy, protecting your associations, but protecting what you presenting yourself in forms of. And a lot of times it's shit like that, like, you know what I'm saying, when you don't have the right protection spells during the moon waning and shit like that, it can lead to very compromising situations where your energy get drawn all the way up in this motherfucker shit, and then you no longer even have what you have accumulated when the moon was waxing. So, you know, it's all about the moon phases and shit like that when you're starting to understand how to react and respond to the external world. And if you don't necessarily know how to respond to the external world with the transmutation and shit like that, then it can kind of wash you up under the current. Because when the moon waxing, you can find yourself thinking you need to play protection spells. And when the moon is motherfucker waning, you can find yourself thinking that you need to be putting energy work in. And then therefore, that's when you all unaligned. And you manifest a lifestyle like that. Your lifestyle end up being chaos. You said how to protect yourself from negative entities in this dimension and other dimensions by not being a negative entity. You know what I'm saying? And therefore, you will protect yourself from all negative entities. The only way you're open to negative entities if you are one yourself. And a lot of times we all fall short. Sometimes we may not know that we are being the negative entity at the moment based on the percentage level that we're adding to a situation. So, for an example, you might be adding to a situation at such a low percentage rate that it's kind of hard to see how you're the demon, but in so many ways, you're in that space. You know what I'm saying? So that makes you low-key have to switch up. And when you're not putting yourself or making yourself a part of a space, you're not able to be affected by that space. So anytime a spirit chooses to jump out of that space to affect you, you actually don't have to try hard to defeat them. It'll be something that they do to defeat themselves, and you will be able to use whatever that they just did as a form of a vessel for yourself, or you could just look at them and see them crash, you know what I'm saying, because they thought they was getting over, but they really wasn't going nowhere far. So that's basically on that end and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? When you start to talk about protecting yourself, protecting from negative energy is not participating. And you might think that's simple, but you always make something simple than deep first, because these are things we play out every day in life. For an example, right? Let's just say you live in a neighborhood amongst gangbangers, but you make it be known you don't gangbang, right? Or you don't rob and steal. You separated yourself from that energy. So guess what? Every time another gang person that don't know you interact with someone from the hood that been known you and start to question you to them, like, why ain't this person in the gang and stuff like that? This person might even speak up for you. This person might be like, oh, they ain't on that. They made it very clear. I've been on them. They into this. They into that. They not on that and this, that, and the third. And therefore, that's a third dimensional representation of what I'm actually explaining. Simply, then you go deep with it. And then now you could be able to do that in all scenarios. Anytime you separate from a space, you get closer to God. Because what are you separating from? You're separating from something. And anytime you separate from something, you go closer to nothing, and that's closer to God and things of that nature. So anytime you separate from a circumstance, you end up getting protection from God, because your energy is no longer participating in that space. So anytime a demon jump out of that space and choose to affect you, they did that at their own will. And you could just sit back and let God take care of it. And a lot of times God will use another person, place, or thing, or use you as a vessel if you choose to take God's mission and use you as a vessel to show that person what capabilities they have or don't have. Keyword, don't have. Because a lot of motherfuckers think they got shit that they can do that they really can't. You know what I'm saying? You said word in the street. Yeah. So you gotta be careful, like, cause man, people get away with certain energies and shit like that they never necessarily had to. If you would have nipped it in the bud. You said, why do synchronicities tend to pick up in the days leading up to the full moon? Man, I had hella synchronicities today. I could break it down so goddamn much. It's not just the full moon though. Synchronicities are correspondences that you're doing the right thing. And here's the thing. When you're doing the right thing, a lot of times the event at hand may not even necessarily be something you can kind of figure out, is it right or wrong? It's just you're doing things. And then once you have the energy of just putting out in the world that you're just doing things, you're going to be able to transmute that because it's going to be able to come back to you in a lot of different other ways. Now, you have to be spiritually open enough to not be lost in no bias or no other type of circumstance to be able to see how this can be able to manifest in other kind of ways, even when it comes into circumstances of feeling like you're going out your way. And then for the most part, that'll put you into a situation of being able to transmute to a bigger plateau. So anytime you don't just invest all your thoughts and feelings into a circumstance or situation or whatever like that, you're able to transmute that energy into greater lengths and greater aspects and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. So it's all about separating. Somebody said got a few questions. You take a live guest. Nah, I don't know how to exit guests from the IG. So I don't know. I ain't got no control over IG. So I'd rather not. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. If I gotta leave it up to y'all to X yourselves out, I'd rather not. You know what I'm saying?